नमस्कार दोस्तों, और आपका एक बार फिर से बेहद स्वागत है मेरे शो हार्ट टॉक पर। और आज हम जिस पर्सनैलिटी से बात करने जा रहे हैं, ही इज नन अदर देन एयर वाइस मार्शल प्रकाश कुमार श्रीवास्तव जी। वो विशिष्ट सेवा मेडल से सम्मानित हैं एंड ही हैड द प्रिविलेज ऑफ बीइंग इन ए लीडरशिप रोल इन 3 नेशनल लेवल स्ट्रेटेजिक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। वो हैं इंडियन एयरफोर्स, भारत डायनामिक्स लिमिटेड, द ओनली मिसाइल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी ऑफ द कंट्री, and he had worked L&T, PSU and other private sector. So आपका सर एक बार बहुत बहुत स्वागत है मेरे शो पर। वेलकम टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल हॉट टॉक। थैंक यू सर। आप इंडियन एयरफोर्स से एसोसिएटेड रहे हैं, सो टेल मी हाउ योर जर्नी स्टार्टेड विद इंडियन एयरफोर्स।
So my journey started in the Indian Air Force immediately after I passed out from IIT BHU Varanasi, which is very premium institution, and we had 1971 war behind us, and that time I was in engineering college, so we developed that kind of I would say enthusiasm that we must join one of the armed forces and see for ourselves what's it like to be part of security architecture of the country and what all we can do. Of course, when you're very young, you're looking at from career perspective, but that time I would say the dominant emotion was nationalism and patriotism. We were motivated by that कि देश के लिए कुछ करना है, and that really guided. And while all IIT people or all IIT my friends etc वो civil side में चले गए क्योंकि IIT का काफी नाम था, but I chose Indian Air Force as my career. And thereafter I found that it was a real good thing, good choice made by a young man, young Prakash Kumar Srivastava, who later on put on the ranks and got into it. क्योंकि जो चीजें हमें मिली भारतीय वायुसेना में या इंडियन एयरफोर्स में, मेरे ख्याल से उस तरह की ट्रेनिंग, उस तरह का जज्बा या उस तरह का ओरिएंटेशन शायद नहीं। एक ओरिएंटेशन मिला टुवर्ड्स लाइफ, एक ओरिएंटेशन मिला टुवर्ड्स द कंट्री, एक ओरिएंटेशन मिला टुवर्ड्स द वर्ल्ड इटसेल्फ, दैट या हम लोग हैं तो हमारा क्या, व्हाट इज द पर्पस टू बी हियर, हाउ वी कैन कंट्रीब्यूट टू द सोसाइटी इन जनरल, वेदर इट्स आवर ओन सोसाइटी और द लार्जर सोसाइटी, and what role armed forces play in keeping the society in order. और आजकल के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में तो मैं आपसे कहूंगा पुष्कर, ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है क्योंकि आप देख रहे हैं जहां भी नेशनल सिक्योरिटी आर्किटेक्चर डैमेज होता है या डिस्ट्रॉय होता है या उसके गोल्स डिफरेंट होते हैं, वेदर इट इज अफगानिस्तान जो बहुत रिसेंट केस है या पाकिस्तान, वहां के जो सिटीजन्स हैं उनके ऊपर क्या आफत आती है वो तो आप समझ सकते हैं। हाँ जी। तो एक रोल है डिफेंस सर्विसेज का, वो रोल इतना इंट्रिंसिक है कि जब आपके यहाँ सब कुछ ठीक चलता रहता है तो आप उसको समझ भी नहीं पाते। But there's a role of power structure or the security architecture of your country to keep your citizens in happy state, to keep them prosperous and to keep the country economically growing. तो अगर आप मुझसे पूछेंगे मैंने क्या सीखा और समझा, तो उसको तो मैं थोड़ी देर बाद आपसे शेयर करूंगा, जो probably youngsters के लिए ज़्यादा relevant होगा। लेकिन Indian Air Force taught me how to lead your life, how to contribute towards nation, towards society, and towards a small community you live in. How to coexist, how to tolerate others' brilliance. आप देख रहे होंगे आजकल जितना भी होता है, the competitiveness has become so much that's become very difficult for people to tolerate others' brilliance, and that is something which we need to be working on. So, in short, I'll say it was a great journey within the Air Force. I really loved it, and it trained me very well as a citizen, as a soldier, and in all other things which are very relevant to live and lead in the society.
Exactly, sir. Exactly, and very well said, sir. Sir, since you are pass out from IIT, BHU से आप pass out हैं, so once you are pass out from IIT, एक youngsters के आंखों में सपने होते हैं. Most of the IITians mostly prefer to go abroad, US, Europe, and settle there. तो जब आपने IAF को चुना, तो आपके फैमिली में या आपके रिलेटिव या फ्रेंड्स ने कहा नहीं आपको कि यार यू आर IIT पास आउट, व्हाई यू आर गोइंग फॉर द इंडियन एयर फोर्स rather than you have lot of thousands of thousands option to go abroad and live your life peacefully?
You said it rightly. I think you asked a very relevant question, extremely relevant, if you really ask me. There was a great conflict with my family because let me tell you, I was in electronics engineering, and that was that time the foremost engineer, top of the rack. Only if you got the highest position, then only you could get into electronics engineering. And we were 30 only in our batch. Out of 30, 26 went abroad. Only 4 remained in the country. Out of that 4, I was one of them, and I chose to go to Indian Air Force. So there was conflict of choosing a profession which people thought I had very lucrative alternate options. But I now thank myself after nearly, you can say, I passed out in 74. Nearly after 47 years, I still thank myself for choosing the profession I chose. Because it's a way of life which I wouldn't have got anywhere else. Probably I would have got, as they say, tons of money. But now the quality life and the quality orientation towards life which I got, I would create Indian Air Force for that a lot. So that's a very good question. It's a crossroad which every person faces. Of course,
Yes.
then in the Indian Air Force, I also went to IIT Mumbai. I also went to IIT Kanpur. In IIT Mumbai, I did my MTech in computer science. Then I also studied in FMS, Faculty of Management Studies, Delhi University. I did my MBA. So I would say if anyone thinks that it is one profession where you hold a spear or gun or something and you do that, no. These are the times of scholar soldiers. These are the times of soldiers who fight a very complex, very strategic, and very evolved kind of war fighting mechanism. And you ought to understand a lot of science, a lot of art, and everything together for you to really synergize the power of nation behind winning your wars. It's not something which can be done only by being a brave guy. It needs a lot of mind share, it needs a lot of thinking, it needs a lot of strategizing. That, of course, I think young generation now is understanding, and they also are moving forward towards that. But yes, through your, I would say through your medium, I would like to put across that Indian Air Force or Indian Army or Indian Navy, if you join them, it's not that you are in any way short on your scholarship. The scholarship is as much appreciated, as much needed, as is there in any profession. And you ought to be a professional in this too. So it is on that count.
Yeah, bilkul sir, I can understand it was very difficult decision which you take when you pass out from BTech. और एक 10 सेकंड में लूंगा सर अपना एक एक्सपीरियंस बताते हुए. मेरा एक फ्रेंड था, he passed out from IIT Roorkee, so he was also from electronics background, but he got the placement in one of the best company across the globe. उसको Amazon में he got the placement as a IT manager. So वो मिठाई का डिब्बा लेके गया अपने प्रोफेसर के पास and he said that I got an opportunity. तो उसके प्रोफेसर ने जैसे ही देखा कि आपको IT में अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली है, तो वो मिठाई का डिब्बा फेंक के मारा. Then why the hell you join electronics telecommunication? Then अगर आपको जाना ही था बाहर तो वो सर बात है. I really hats off to you. आपने कंट्री को सबसे पहले रखा और 30 में से 26 लोग बाहर चले गए and you were one of the 4 guys who being in India और आपने कंट्री को ऐसे सर्व करा. So thank you very much sir, and no doubt आपने कंट्री के लिए बहुत कुछ किया है and we know everyone what we have done. So मेरा सर सेकंड क्वेश्चन इसी में है कि आपने भारत डायनामिक्स में भी वो कैसे फॉर्मर डायरेक्टर, इनफैक्ट इंडियन एयर फोर्स में आप रिटायर्ड हुए हैं एज ए एयर वाइस मार्शल. सो व्हाट वर द मोस्ट चैलेंजिंग जॉब्स you ever come across to your career?
So Abhi, before we proceed further, I would like to just give one idea, one concept, which probably I passed on to youngsters and passed on to my next generation too.
Sure.
And I want to say in their words, I call it PIE. PIE is PIE. And as far as I'm concerned, I have abbreviated it for the sake of understanding and not forgetting it. And for me, P stands for physical quotient. I stands for intellectual quotient. E stands for emotional quotient. So what I mean by that, so I realized when I was a young man, I used to listen to a lot of people, good lecture, everything good. I used to come back from the hall and think what I'm supposed to be doing myself. Then I realized unless something is done on a routine, what we call, there's a concept of routinization. That's how Americans got ahead of Russians in space arena. So I said, okay, let's fix it out. So physical quotient, when I say, I mean for the youngsters, every day you must do something for your body per se. Because shariram pratham sadhanam. अगर ये शरीर आपका स्वस्थ है तभी आप कुछ कर सकते हैं, चाहे अच्छा हो या बहुत अच्छा हो. उसको करने के लिए you need your body per se. So physical quotient means on a daily basis you must exercise for half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever time. You must devote that time to your body and see to it that you keep it going and keep it fit. And you do whatever you feel like. It's up to you. It's not necessary that you do this or do that. When I say intellectual quotient, I mean that you feed your mind. Your mind has got very huge capacity. You need to feed it with new thoughts, new ideas, and seed it there. So every day must read one paper, one something, few new ideas you must read every day. And the moment you do this, because in the rut of the things you forget about reading something new, you must keep reading. So
Yes.
keep your intellectual quotient alive. Emotional quotient, you have to keep your emotional side because we are all human. And when I say that, I mean that you must pat somebody, you must compliment somebody, you must say good things about somebody, your friend, your peer, your colleague, anybody, and help out somebody if you can in a very small way, but do it on a daily basis. If you keep your pie in balance, you're already spiritual. I say you don't need any further spirituality. You need not go in front of the God you worship and pray to him or her. The God is with you if you keep your pie in balance. So that's my outlook, which I try to pass on to the youngsters. But coming to, you talked about a very specific question, Bharat Dynamics Limited. When I joined Bharat Dynamics Limited, my greatest challenge was the company was not really in black. It was making losses. So I went through understanding why it's happening. And then I realized that we make missiles, all kinds of missiles, whether Agni, Prithvi, or ATGMs, which are probably not so well known to everybody, Concord, Sinwar. But the problem was, how do you get your orders? So we were not getting the full system order. The full system order is like Akash missile system. It's a system which has 33 vehicles and then the missile. It needs support of 33 vehicles, ground vehicles, to make one fighting formation. And through that, we actually launch one single missile to engage the target. So I said, we must get the full order. And we worked over it. And luckily we got it. And when we got it, it's in the public domain. That order was worth 14,180 crores, the very first order. One single order, 14,180 crores. It's a huge, huge amount. And that was now it has been beaten by the LCA order.
Yes.
Now, but otherwise, to an Indian company, that was the largest order placed by Government of India. And that came to BDL, along with came other things. So we worked it out, and now we are very proud of our Akash missiles. We are trying to sell it to friendly nations also. Government has given the clearance. So if you really ask me to single out, I'd say this was a very, very proud moment for me as a person, for BDL as an organization, and for the country as a nation, because that's an indigenous weapon system where 98% components, parts, everything is Indian. And that's what true Atmanirbharta is all about.
Yes, yes.
So we had done it, and we can do it in many, many fields, as we discussed.
Yes. So Akash missile का जैसे सर आपने जिक्र किया, so Akash is surface to air missile, right?
हाँ, सही, बिल्कुल सही आपने समझा.
Okay, so सर इसी में से क्वेश्चन निकल के एक आता है कि very soon we are going to induct S-400, जिसकी मारक क्षमता बहुत ज्यादा है, 200 से 300 किलोमीटर है, और आकाश
बिल्कुल सही,
हमारी रेजिमेंट है, शायद आकाश 1, आकाश 2 हम काम कर रहे हैं, इसकी मारक क्षमता शायद 50 to 60 किलोमीटर है. तो ये आकाश जो हमारा एयर डिफेंस सिस्टम है, इज इट ए 3 लेयर डिफेंस सिस्टम? अगर फर्स्ट लेयर S-400 मिस कर गया, देन सेकंड लेयर, देन थर्ड लेयर, इट इज लाइक दैट, और थोड़ा सा बताएंगे के बारे में, क्या होता क्या है?
तो मैं आपको थोड़ा एयर डिफेंस
हाँ जी।
जो ऑपरेशंस सेंटर्स होते हैं उनके बारे में थोड़ा सा बताना चाहूंगा. Essentially, air defense is a system which has uh, all kinds of missile systems embedded within. It's a network of systems.
हम्म.
Akash is surface to air missile system. That means, and it's the Akash which is currently there. It can kill up to 25 kilometers. And the one you're talking about, the next generation Akash, it can go up to 60 kilometers. So these two are the differences. But we have an air defense grid. On the grid, we have radars which locate and identify from which direction and what kind of threat is coming. Depending on the threat perception, you engage with a particular missile system. Akash is a replacement of the earlier missile system, which are in great number. So we need these things in great number. That is, surface to air missile, SAM-3s we used to call them. They were Russian missile system doing the same job, and they were part of the air defense network. So air defense grid, the grid is in layers. As the enemy aircraft comes in, it'll come from the international boundary. It enters, we identify through our radar network. That is also part of the air defense grid. And then the commander takes a decision. There are operation centers. From there, the decision is taken. The commander takes a decision to engage that target. And how do you engage the target will depend how the target is moving forward. What are the characteristics of target in terms of speed, stealth features, how it progresses, and the kind of time we have. So they're all deployed. So you imagine a grid where these things reside on the grid. You talked about the S-400. It's a very, very good question. How does it fit in all of things? S-400 is a weapon system which is very costly. Firstly, we should understand it's a very costly weapon system. So such systems we can have only in limited numbers. So somewhere you need very large numbers. That's where the Akash will sit in. And somewhere you need some small numbers. But these small numbers, what they do, they engage all kinds of air threats. That is, starting from ICBM down to small drones. So with one missile system, you have something which can engage at 1,000 kilometers, then something which can engage at 400 kilometers, something which can engage at 200 kilometers, and we can come down to 80 kilometers. So the same missile system can cater to all threats. And then it has some weapons which are for the even closer ranges. But they are supposed to be specifically protecting our centers of economic gravity, centers of political gravity like Delhi, like Mumbai, and our cities which are cosmopolitans and big cities, where we have big interests. So this will be part of the, again, air defense grid. The first assault will be done by Akash and that class of weapons.
Okay.
Once they penetrate through that, then these weapons will come in play. But if there is an ICBM launched on you, which is another kind of war fighting mechanism, then our S-400 will come in play. So you're protecting yourself from all classes of weapons at the least cost to the nation. So it's a hybrid. It is never one most potent weapon for everything. It is a degree of weapons which you have. So when you talk of the grid, air defense grid, then Akash and other class of missiles, and then S-400 and everything sits in that grid.
Yes.
So we actually build the air defense grid through which we protect our airspace and also deter the enemy. Enemy knows about it. So they don't try to come to you. They know that this is a potent grid and we will be caught. And we have been found to be very potent, and therefore you don't have any incursions like that. If you recall, after Balakot, there was some kind of incursion, but they could be chased away. So that's the power of this air defense grid.
बिल्कुल सर, हमारे यंगस्टर्स बहुत हैप्पी होंगे आज जो आपको सुन रहे हैं और जो आगे भी सुनेंगे इसको, कि आप जिस हिसाब से अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर कर रहे हैं, आपने जो चैलेंजेस शेयर करे, तो डेफिनेटली दिस इज गोइंग टू बी ए विंग्स टू यंगस्टर्स हु आर लुकिंग टू हैव द कैरियर इन इंडियन एयरफोर्स. सो सर, इंडियन एयरफोर्स में आपकी सर लाइफ कैसे रही? बहुत प्रेशर होता है जब डेडलाइन होती है या ड्यूरिंग पीस टाइम और ड्यूरिंग वॉर टाइम, तो हम समझ सकते हैं बहुत प्रेशर होता है, बट इन जनरल कैसी लाइफ होती है ऑफिस में? 9 से 5 वाली टिफिन लेके जा रहे हैं, लंच कर रहे हैं, हाँ 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 चलो लेट्स गो बैक टू होम, मतलब कैसा होता है सर आपका? आप बताएंगे हमारे यंगस्टर्स के लिए?
देखिए, मैं आपसे एक चीज शेयर करना चाहूंगा। जहां तक लाइफ का सवाल है, तो हम जो सारी लाइफ को जोड़ते हैं, सोशल लाइफ है, आपकी स्पोर्ट्स लाइफ है, स्पोर्टिंग एक्टिविटीज हैं, आपकी जो नॉर्मल वेजरीज ऑफ कलेक्टिंग थिंग्स, जिसे बोलते हैं आटा दाल चावल
हाँ
पानी
जी।
बिजली, इन सब की जो समस्याएं होती हैं, तो इन सब से आपको मोस्टली कोशिश की जाती है कि आप उनसे, जब कैंप के अंदर हैं, तो यू आर नॉट busy doing that.
हम्म
You are relieved. So there is an organization working, ensuring that your general environment where you live in is good, your social life is good, and you have a kind of feeling that you can relate to everyone. If I really say one thing which I picked up the most, we these days keep talking about a lot of other things like secularism, like you
हम्म
know this faith, that faith. We live there, we never realize that we belong to any other faith except the national faith. We all were one. We are celebrating every festival. We are celebrating everybody, and we are celebrating the nation. So through this medium, I would like to say, learn to celebrate your nationhood. That's most important. When this ship, the big ship called nation state, survives, all of us can survive. All of us can live, prosper, and evolve. So the greater emphasis is that if a society which is there, which is enclosed in a campus or premises, it teaches you that when you're very young and through the middle ages, because thereafter you start getting scattered out. That's the very important message which we all carry. We have in the same campus a Gurdwara, we have a temple, we have a mosque, we have a church, and everyone goes to every place. So in my opinion, if you ask, the life is really good. You feel that all of us are one, and there's only one religion for all of us, and that is our own country, our flag, our nation, and Jangan Man.
बिल्कुल
That's
सर,
most
बिल्कुल
important.
एग्जैक्ट
So
स्पॉट
that
ऑन।
makes you passionate about your country.
बिल्कुल सर।
So it is absolutely, it's a brilliant quality life with all the facilities inbuilt.
And I would always regret that I couldn't get opportunity to join Indian Army, Indian Air Force or Navy. But अगर next कभी जन्म हुआ तो definitely I would like to born in India and would like to be part of armed forces, Indian armed forces. So salute to you sir. और सर अभी जैसे आपने बताया कि हमारे इंडियन एयरफोर्स में कैसा माहौल होता है, पीसफुल, वी हैव गुरुद्वारा, चर्चेस, everyone is same and you all celebrate their festivals. बट हमारे नेबर्स ऐसे नहीं है। अगर आप देखें पाकिस्तान जो हमारा वेस्ट में है और चाइना जो ईस्ट में है, तो मैं क्विकली सर आपसे 2 क्वेश्चन लेना चाहूंगा इस पे। तो एक तो टू फ्रंट वॉर, ये कितना रियलिस्टिक है? और सुना ये भी जाता है विद ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट, कॉलम्स में ये भी आता है कि ये हाइप है स्पेसिफिकली फ्रॉम द आर्मी और एयरफोर्स, और लेकिन अभी हमने जैसे देखा हाल में क्या हुआ चाइना के साथ। तो टू फ्रंट वॉर कितना रियलिस्टिक है, नंबर 1। और आर वी रेडी टू मीट एनी इवेंचुअलिटी अगर पाकिस्तान और चाइना के साथ ऐसा होता है तो, एयर डिफेंस सिस्टम में या हमारे जो एयरफोर्स पावर है, एयर पावर है?
तो इसको आपने बहुत अच्छा पहले क्वेश्चन पूछा था कि जो लोग डिफेंस में हैं क्या वही सर्व करते हैं नेशन को। तो मैं आपको इस पे एक पॉइंट छोटा सा कहना चाहूंगा बिफोर आई टेक ऑन द टू फ्रंट वॉर, that the civilian population is as patriotic and as nationalistic as the defense people. Their roles are different. And any national power जब हम बात करते हैं, तो national power is because of all these citizens of the country. जो हमारे साइंटिस्ट हैं, जो हमारे प्रोडक्शन हाउसेज हैं, जो हमारे एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं, और जो भी हमारे सिटीजन्स हैं, जिस भी फॉर्म और फॉर्मेट में अपना काम करते हैं, वो सब कुछ मिला करके जो सम टोटल होता है वो होता है नेशनल पावर। एंड हम लोग की जो सिनर्जी है और जो मोरल है, वही हमारा सबसे बड़ा तंत्र भी है और यंत्र भी। If you really ask me, that is our national security architecture and that is our national weapon. किसी भी war को fight करने के लिए, चाहे 2 front हो, चाहे 4 front, the most important thing is that you as a country remain one, and you should not be going away. So that's the most important part. So if you see now, let's see the two threats: adversary number 1 and adversary number 2. Adversary number 1 is our northern adversary. Adversary number 2 is a western adversary. Now, if you really take their national morale, one is a totalitarian government. There's one single party rule, single party decision. There are no diversity. And if you really ask me, there are too many fragments of the society. There are actually, in fact, 5 major chunks of society over there, which have been put under pressure to remain under control. It's not something the citizens are really with them, whether you take Xinjiang or you take Tibet or you take Lower Mongolia. So everything is not really in place. That is one part of the society. On this side, it's a military-run state. The citizens' voice is really suppressed. It's not a democratic society. That's all of us know. So as far as morale of sum total of morale of these two things are concerned, they are really not in good stead. So on that count, we really win over them. Two-front war is not a great issue because no country loses the war. No country loses the war as long as you can keep your morale high. And what better example like to hear than the Afghanistan? What was with them? Taliban's had no weapons, nothing. And they really bet a very, very mighty force. On what count? They kept on fighting. Whether for good or bad, but for war fighting, strategy, one can say it's not easy to beat anyone. Weapons notwithstanding, as long as a nation or as a community are willing to fight. I'll come to our place. Coming to our place, as far as India is concerned, it's a democratic country. So in democratic country, you have many, many challenges in terms of money and in terms of its politics. Keeping both the things in alignment, but when it comes to nationhood, I have found all parties notwithstanding, they stand for the nationhood, nation state. There are no opinions about it.
Mhm.
On that count, Indians have won. On northern front, the geography of the northern front plays a very massive. If you want to match the Chinese Air Force with the Indian Air Force on that border, and given their political situation, which is there in South China Sea, which is there with Taiwan, which is there with Mongolia, which is there with Xinjiang, Tibet, all that if you see, they do not have enough forces to launch on northern border to really take care of us. In fact, we are at a great advantage. When the Tibet is at a higher altitude. So what happens, any aircraft starting from there, whether it's their J-20 or ours on this side, when it takes a weapon load from there, it will be half. It cannot be full because the height is so much. And that puts them in grave, disparity. Numbers may appear to be higher, but that number has to be dispersed all over. So you have numbers, but you have geography coming in. Indian weapons will be more potent whether they're air weapons or they are ground weapons. As far as land forces are concerned, I have another take on that. Their land forces are not willing to fight. There's a social cause also for that, which has not come out so much in the public domain. That cause is the one child, one family.
Mhm.
Now, if you take one child, it has 2 parents and it has got 4 grandparents. For 6 of them, there's only one child. So they are very afraid to really send their children to war. And that's a social issue. So they will not be fighting the land battle. So on northern front, I do not expect, as for the drone inventory which is talked about, it is not a proven drone inventory. It is, you talked about the helicopter fleet, it is also not proven helicopter fleet. So on their side, whatever they have is actually not proven assets. If you take that asset into account, take the geographic into account, take the geopolitics of the globe into account, and take our morale and take our war fighting equipment and our nation as one, we will actually, if you really ask me, I used to talk about it sometimes when the Galwan thing was very hot, that actually if we go into engagement, they may find that we'll give them a great, great trouble. It is not something that they can take us for granted. 1962 war was won purely because we did not put our air force into service. ये आपने बहुत public domain में पढ़ा होगा.
हाँ जी.
Indian Air Force was not allowed to engage. Had Indian Air Force been allowed to engage, the outcome of the war would have been totally different. So, as far as that terrain is concerned, the geography is concerned, Himalaya still stands very tall for us and very protected. It will be very difficult for them to beat the geography, come this side and win a war. So it's not possible. Coming to this side, now Western side. Western side, I mean, there's a current, I can see a lot of enthusiasm going around that since now Taliban side is free, we can do something on the eastern border as far as Pakistan is concerned. No, it's not possible. Taliban earlier did not have a sovereign country with them. Now they have a sovereign country. Their problems are governance. They are now going to be realists. They'll engage with the people who can provide them help, who can give them money, who can help them become stable. Can Pakistan do that? It needs money for itself. There's no money with them. They cannot give. So in that sense, I don't think they can redeploy those forces here. And even if they redeploy, the strength of the forces in numbers may be there for the press and for the media, but the serviceability status and the war fighting status of those and that equipment, with the US being out of the loop for a long while, is very poor. Those equipments are hardly combat worthy. So fighting a war would be a very difficult option. So I don't think, firstly, this two-front war is like a two-front pressure you have to maintain. And we also took some precautions, of course. We have raised the mountain core. The mountain core has come up. So we are now good at mountainous warfare. And not only we are good at, we have proved in Kargil too. And our soldiers are highly motivated. It reminds me of one of the Pakistani soldier lamenting once. He says, "Saab, जहां तक फौजियों का सवाल है, हम दोनों लोग बराबर हैं, हम एक ही साथ लड़ सकते हैं, मगर आपके अफसरों में जान देने की ताकत, आगे से लीड करते हैं, हमारे अफसर तो बैठे रहते हैं, आराम करते हैं." तो जहां फौज को आपने इतना आराम में डाल दिया, जिनको रूल करने की आदत पड़ गई, उनके अफसर लड़ाई क्या लड़ते?
Exactly, sir.
यहाँ हमारे officers, they are the first one to sacrifice themselves. So with this overall condition, I can assure you, I don't wish for war. Never. It's not good for any country. But
True.
lo behold, if there is a war, we'll come out with flying colors. Let there be no doubt. Let there be no doubt.
एंड सर, एयर पावर में आप क्या सोचते हैं? जैसे चाइना प्रोपेगेंडा करता है, हमारा J-20 स्टेल्थ है, टेक्नोलॉजी जो शोकेस करते हैं, वी कैन पेनिट्रेट एनी एयर डिफेंस सिस्टम ऑफ इंडिया. और पाकिस्तान भी चाइना का, आई गेस, आई कैन नॉट रिमेंबर द एग्जैक्ट नेम, HQ-6 समथिंग लेके आया है चाइना से, रिस्पांस जो S-400 का वो लोग दे रहे हैं. तो इस संदर्भ में सर आपको क्या लगता है, हमारा राफेल अहेड फ्रॉम J-20?
तो उनका जो J-20 की जो बात चलती रहती है, स्टेल्थ एयरक्राफ्ट 5th जनरेशन, अभी हमारी एक एक्सरसाइज हुई थी, उसमें हमने J-20 के स्टेल्थ फीचर को वी वर एबल टू कैच. J-20 ऑपरेट कर रहा था, हम उसको अपने रेडार पर वी वर एबल टू सी इट. सो उसकी स्टेल्थ फीचर कितनी टेक्नोलॉजिकली एडवांस्ड है और अच्छी है, इसका कोई वॉर टेस्ट तो हुआ नहीं. इट हैज नॉट बीन टेस्टेड एनीवेयर एंड वी हैव आवर ओन डाउट्स. हमें नहीं लगता कि स्टेल्थ फीचर्स इतने इतने अच्छे हैं.
हम्म.
At the best, it is 4+ generation aircraft. It is not really a stealth aircraft of 5th generation. That's what is this thing. And Rafale can match it. There's no doubt about it. If a J-20 tries to come to our airspace, crossing the Himalayas, it would be very weakened out J-20, and we'll be able to catch it. Then secondly, stealth aircraft has got one issue. If you are having, because it takes, see, stealth aircraft, stealth कैसे बनता है कि हम उसके इंजन के IR सिग्नेचर को, हम उसके IR सिग्नेचर को हम वो कर देते हैं, डिमिनिश कर देते हैं. हम उसके रेडार सिग्नेचर को डिमिनिश कर देते हैं रेडार पेंट लगा के और ज्योग्राफी से, कि अगर कोई रेडार उस पे सिग्नल इंसिडेंट होता है तो वो रिफ्लेक्ट करके डिफ्रैक्ट करता है, रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं करता. वो डिफ्रैक्ट करता है तो रिसीवर में आपके पकड़ में नहीं आता है, तो आप उस फ्लिप को या उस सिग्नेचर को रीड नहीं करते. लेकिन सपोज यू आर डूइंग इट विद सैटेलाइट इमेजिनरी व्हिच इज ऑप्टिकल, देन हाउ डू यू सेव योरसेल्फ? Then if you are taking feed from several radars, we have a system of synthesizing the radars, multiple radar input into one. Then from one aspect you will be invisible, from other aspect you will be visible. Actually US ने भी realize किया है कि stealth aircraft में जितना पैसा लगता है उसको stealth बनाने में, उससे कम पैसे में और बहुत कम पैसे में आप उसको पकड़ सकते हैं. तो एक्चुअली जो उसका एक मीडिया में या प्रेस में, क्योंकि मीडिया बहुत बेनाइन है, लॉट ऑफ फंडिंग हैपेंस थ्रू international media by China. They spend a lot of money on advertising. There is a kind of perception being created that yes, it's a very potent aircraft. But if you really ask me as an Air Force man, I don't think it has that kind of stealth features which cannot be broken through. I don't think it can come to my airspace so stealthily. And I don't think it has got such kind of missiles which can beat my Scalp, which can beat my Mika, which can beat my weapon system. So this, I would really say, okay, we'll respect you, but that's where it ends. We respect your strength, we respect our adversary, and we'll like to match it, but we are confident we can match it. So at the moment, I would say that. They have somewhere the number superiority are there. Let's say drone inventory. They've gone into drones in a big way. So that we are trying to fill in, that you must have read that we are trying to buy 30 MQ-9B Predators for our own services. And we have huge, production base of unmanned air vehicles here. But what we need to work on as a nation state, okay, this is what I state and we can fight, is on embedding artificial intelligence into our weapon systems. Number one. Number two, we have to find ways and means of upgrading or modernizing and making our inventory, current inventory, usable. We shouldn't replace everything. We should make it usable, and we should find methods of doing it, which I'm very happy to note that Government of India is in that direction and is thinking on that direction. Because once I got an opportunity to hear CDS, I found him airing the same thoughts. And most importantly, the current pressure of, or I would say push of Government of India on Atmanirbharta is the most important thing which can happen to this country. Because if we localize the production within the country, that would be a great, I would say, advantage in this domain. It will be really good. Because we can do that, because there's a saying, you cannot remain number one with some borrowed gun. You have to make your own gun.
Yes, absolutely right, sir.
There's a power play, and there's a power play which comes through the gun, and this power play is only for the sake of economics, money.
Yes.
So if you want to become a developed and prosperous nation, you have to have method and mechanism of creating your own weapons, your own combat aircraft, your own submarines, your own aircraft carriers, your own frigates, destroyers, your own missile systems. So India is well on that path.
Yes,
We
yes.
are one of the very few countries who make combat aircraft. Like we have made the LCA.
Tejas.
So it's very important that we make our own weapon systems. And
Yes.
I wouldn't be very pessimistic. A lot of people in a country sometimes become pessimistic, but it takes journey and it takes time to come to that stage. But I'm very sure that if I want the medal of being the developed country, I have to have the medal of producing my own weapons.
Yes.
Both go in hand in hand. You do a mental check, you'll find all the developed countries make their own weapons. They
Yes.
are not the best. They are not the importers. We are very big importers. We are one of the we have the credit of being in first five. That's not a good credit. So we have to come out of that and build ourselves. But it doesn't happen overnight. It happens with a thought, and thought must be pursued relentlessly for a decade or more. Then
Very
you'll cross the threshold when you can be saying that yes, my country is very independent and very dependent on its own weapons.
बिल्कुल सर,
That's the
बिल्कुल ठीक कहा. और सर लास्ट क्वेश्चन ऑफ दिस डिस्कशन, सर आप यंगस्टर्स को क्या मैसेज देना चाहते हैं? व्हाई यंगस्टर्स शुड जॉइन इंडियन एयर फोर्स? जैसे कि इंडियन एयर फोर्स कहते हैं कि वी गिव विंग्स टू यू टू फ्लाई, तो आप सर क्या मैसेज देंगे? क्या आप उनको बताएंगे? क्या क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज हमारे इंडियन एयर फोर्स में होती है? अदर देन इंडियन एयर फोर्स का नाम फाइटर प्लेन, चॉपर्स, ये सब आता है. उसके अलावा और सर क्या होता है इंडियन एयर फोर्स में जो आप बताना चाहेंगे हमारे यंगस्टर्स को?
तो पहले तो मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि यंगस्टर्स के लिए पहला ब्रॉड मैसेज उसको बोलते हैं, वो ये कि आप जो भी काम करें उसमें मन लगा के, फोकस करके और मेहनत से करें. जो भी आप काम करें, एवरी वर्क ऑफ योर्स गोज फॉर नेशन बिल्डिंग. चाहे वो आप कहीं पर किसी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट में हैं, आप रिसर्च साइंटिस्ट हैं, या आप लैब टेक्नीशियन हैं, या आप बिजनेस करते हैं, you try to be honest to yourself and to your country. Basically, if a businessman, pay your taxes. Taxes are required for the country. Build up. If you are a technician, try to do that job very well so that we are not dependent on any foreign technicians. So पहला मैसेज तो यह है कि जहां भी हैं अच्छे से करें, और उसके लिए मेरे समझ से आप अपने पाई को अपने रूटीन में डाल लें कि भाई ये तो मुझे करना ही. वो पहला आपका मैसेज है. दूसरा, अगर आप एयरफोर्स में आना चाहते हैं तो एयरफोर्स is the, I would say, the operational end of the Air Force is fighter pilot. That is the operational end of the Air Force. Like जैसे मैंने आपको बताया था, आकाश वेपन सिस्टम में there are 33 vehicles and so many people supporting it for one missile to engage the target. So that is the delivery end of the system. बट उसके नीचे बहुत बड़ा एक एरोनॉटिकल इंजीनियर्स का और ऑल टाइप्स ऑफ इंजीनियर्स का एक बहुत बड़ा सिस्टम वर्क करता है, which can keep all these flying machines and all other weapon systems including missiles serviceable, combat worthy and current. When I say current, because there is obsolescence going on, it has to be now modernized. Because कोई weapon system लेते हैं तो आप MiG-21 के एग्जांपल्स जानते हैं कि they run for decades, 4-5 decades. 4-5 decades में बहुत तरह की एट्रॉफी टेक प्लेस करती है, इन द सेंस वेपन्स के उसके आइटम्स मिलना बंद हो जाते हैं, फिर उनको उनका सब्स्टिट्यूशन करना पड़ता है, बहुत आपको उसमें इंजीनियरिंग की जरूरत पड़ती है. तो इंडियन एयरफोर्स मैं आपसे शेयर करना चाहूंगा इज द ओनली एयरफोर्स which can fly any aircraft for the longest period of time. Original countries have always got rid of them, but Indian Air Force had been flying. So whether it had been NATS or something or any other aircraft, we flew them the maximum because we had that engineering might behind. So you can go and join as engineers. Engineers को missiles में fighter की तरह काम करने का मौका मिलता है. You can bring down one enemy aircraft, you'll get all that exposure. You can go there as logisticians, another very major branch, who manage the supply chain. Supply chain for any armed force, large armed force, is a very, very complex issue. Very, very complex issue. And it has to be done in a manner that when I need something, it is right next to me.
Yes.
Idea is that. so that my aircraft, if it needs something to become आप जानते हैं घर में भी कोई चीज खराब हो जाती है, टैब भी खराब हो जाता है, तो आप मार्केट में जाते हैं, टैब लाते हैं, तो 5-6 दिन वो ऐसे ही चलता रहता है। लेकिन वहाँ ये लग्जरी आपके पास नहीं है,
Yes,
क्योंकि
sir.
अगर कोई हिट हुआ है तो आपके पास इमीडिएटली होना चाहिए। तो देयर आर सेवरल करियर्स देयर। देन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स का करियर है, यू एडमिनिस्टर इन द सेंस यू प्रोवाइड खाना, पानी, राशन, सड़कें, बिल्डिंग, ये चीजें बनती हैं। तो I would say there are several branches. You can read them and you can join any of those branches. It is not only the fighter pilots, and it's a very strong cadre. And you can use it. You can use it as a non-commissioned officer. You can use it as a commissioned officer. It depends on what kind of educational qualifications you have.
Okay, sir.
Coming to the end, since you said, I would only say that if you join Indian Air Force, as per its motto, Nabhas Prasha Deeptam, to touch the sky with glory. Have that ambition that I will go and touch the sky with a glory. It's from Gita. It meant that when there is an enemy rise to such a stature that an enemy is totally cowed down, and all of us are required for that.
Yes, sir.
So I wish that if you wish to join the Indian Air Force, you touch the sky with a glory. And with that, I would say Jai Hind and God bless.
Thank you very much, sir. आप मेरे शो में आए, आपका बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन एंड थैंक यू।